Hello and welcome again to video number 5. And today we are going to be talking about battery sizing. Before we get into it, I would like to kind of like just say a few things about batteries. Yeah. Um, I've worked with a car company who produce electric cars, and for the electric cars, we were using the lithium ion battery. So Li-ion battery, the lithium ion battery. Yeah, those type and the same type you use in your cell phone. Yeah, those type uh, have a problem, and that problem is a problem of thermal propagation. Yeah. So what that means is you have to maintain the temperature of the battery below 80 degrees Celsius. If it goes above 80 degrees Celsius, it can combust. Yeah. And that is what causes a lot of incidents that you see at times on cell phone where people will just be charging their cell phone and then they'll put it under their pillow. And then the temperature of the battery will get so high that once it exceeds 80 degrees Celsius, the battery will combust. It will just explode. Yeah. So that is one of the issues with lithium ion battery that I do not like. Yeah. But there's another type of battery, a deep discharge battery that I really love, and that is I call it life pool battery based lithium iron phosphate battery. Now, with this technology, with this type of battery, they have been able to eliminate the issue of thermal propagation. So that is why I like it. Yeah. And that is why I choose it. Yeah. So for most solar application, you have this life pool battery. I call it life pool. Yeah. It, but you know what I mean when I say life pool. Yeah. So I use life pool 4 batteries. Yeah, because they don't have thermal propagation. Their maintenance is very low, and since it's a lithium battery, you can discharge it up to 95% without damaging the battery. Yeah. So and also it has a lifespan of 10 to 15 years. Yeah. So it lasts a very long time and you do very little to no maintenance. It's almost like plug and play. Yeah. So now it depends. It is a little bit more expensive than the normal tubular battery. And the reason why I don't like tubular battery is because tubular battery is a flooded lead acid battery. So you have a liquid acid inside of it that stores charges and then discharges it. Now, one thing with the flooded lead acid or the lead acid battery that I don't like is that because it has an acid in it, and at times the acid boils inside of it. And then these can produce acidic fumes. So that is why it's very important to put your tubular batteries where it can vent outside. Yeah. I've seen situations where people put their tubular batteries, their flooded lead acid batteries inside the house or inside the space where they live. It is quite hazardous. You will just be breathing in acidic fume. So that is not good. I would advise against it. So you can put them outside in your balcony. If you're worried about theft, just build a protector around it, yeah. So that air will take the whole fume that's coming out of the battery away. So that is why I don't really like the tubular batteries, yeah. And tubular batteries also you need a lot of maintenance, yeah. So that is just the thinking behind me selecting um, a lithium iron phosphate battery, yeah. So the usual, go through it. You can pause the video and go through the disclaimer. The usual introduction. You can pause the video and go through it. Get in touch with me if you want. Now let's go straight into the sizing of the battery. So the first thing you need to know about sizing your batteries is your battery voltage has to be the same as your inverter voltage, which has to be the same as your system voltage. Yeah. So I prefer to just choose a battery that a single battery will just produce 48 volts. Yeah. So what that means for me is that I wouldn't need. I'll only connect all my batteries if I need more than one battery. I'll just connect everything in parallel. Yeah. When you connect it in parallel, it's only the current that goes up. The voltage remains 48 volts. Yeah. So it just simplifies your connection by removing the strings from it. You only connect it. You only have arrays. Yeah. You just connect them, or one array even. You just connect them in parallel. Yeah. So it simplifies the whole thing. That is why I chose a 48 volt battery. That's the first thing. I just decided on the type of battery that I'll choose. But when I went to the market, yeah, I found out that you cannot get 48 volts in tubular. I think the tubular comes in 12 volts and maybe some gel battery at 24 volts. But you can only get a lithium battery at 48 volts. Yeah, but we'll get to that. Don't worry about that. We'll get to how you can determine which lithium battery capacity to go for. Now, the second thing you do is that you need to calculate the required amp hour of your battery. Yeah, remember the total load, our daily load that we calculated before, and then you take that. I think we did that in video number 2 when we're calculating or estimating our load. Yeah, so you take that daily load requirement in watt hour and then you multiply by a factor of 1.3. That will give you the 31,980 watt hour, which is the same power requirement from your solar panels. So you take that watt hour daily requirement or need that you have, and then you multiply it by 1. That 1 there represents days of autonomy. Now, the day of autonomy, what that means is the number of days that if you don't see sunlight at all, you will still have enough power in your battery to last you that day. Now, I'm from Africa and we have a lot of sunlight, so that's why I'm using 1 there. In some places in Europe, you can get 3 to 5 days without sunlight, sorry. And when that happens, you have to size your battery bank so that when there is sun, it can store enough energy that will last you 3 to 5 days. Even if you don't see the sun again for those days, you'll be okay. Yeah. So now we take that 1. That is why you have the 1 there, and then you multiply, then divide again by. Now we are dividing by 0.95. Yeah, the 0.95 there is the depth of discharge. Since it's a lithium battery, I'll be discharging it almost 100%. But it's not good to be discharging even your lithium battery at 100% because that will shorten the life of it. We want our batteries to last. The battery is the most important part of your solar system. Solar generator system, and is the most expensive as well. So you don't want to be discharging it too much. So I decided to discharge mine at 95%. That is why I have that 0.95 there. Yeah. And then we multiply that by the system voltage of 48. Yeah. And then we multiply again by a temperature correction coefficient. Now, what does that mean? Temperature correction coefficient. Now, batteries are a funny thing, yeah? When the temperature drops, yeah, the energy that you're taking from the battery also drops, yeah? But because the temperature, and you get this from, there's a chart in your battery data sheet that you get this data from, yeah? But because in Africa, our temperature is always very high, yeah? The effect of cold weather on our batteries will not be there. It's not going to be a factor. That's why I just used 1 there. Yeah. So by the time you punch all these numbers into your calculator, what you now have is 701.32 amp hour requirement. So this is the battery capacity requirement that we need, yeah, to power the loads that we have calculated in video 2, yeah, from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning. Meaning, if we are able to get this battery capacity, we will not experience power outage ever. Yeah. So even if we don't see, even if it is in Africa and you don't see sunlight for a whole day, for 24 hours, you'll be able to still power your system with that. Yeah. Now, from the batteries that I had in the market, yeah, when I went to the market, I could not find any tubular battery. I didn't want tubular battery in the first place, but I just wanted to find out if it comes out in 48 volts, but it doesn't. So the only one that comes out in 48 volts is a lithium battery, yeah. But then, how do we know the number of batteries to even ask them to give us, yeah, or what capacity to even ask? So that takes us to step 4, yeah. So the total number of batteries that we're going to need now, since we now know the total battery capacity that we need, which is 701.32 amp hour, and no battery comes in that capacity as a goal. So what we did was the common capacity that it comes in the market is 220 amp hour. Yeah. So we divided this total energy that we need, battery power that we need, by 220, and that will give us the number of batteries that we need. The number of 220 amp hour battery that we need is 3.19. You just approximate it to the next higher number, and that will give us 4 batteries at 48 volts and 220 amp hour capacity. Yeah. So now we know that we need 4 batteries at 48 volts, 220 amp hour capacity. Now, but in the market, yeah, you have lithium batteries that come in 5 kilowatt hour, 10 kilowatt hour, 20, 15, yeah, even 40, 30, I think. So, but anyways, it depends on what you have in the market. Yeah. So you now have to find out what is equivalent to a 10 kilowatt hour lithium battery. So we know that we need 4, yeah, 220 amp hour batteries at 48 volts. If you multiply 48 and 220, you get the power, yeah, because 48 times 220, you have let me just punch that into calculator. 220 by 48, it's about 10,560 volt amp hour, which is volt amp hour is or volt amp is power, and we know power from our electrical engineering. Power is equal to current times voltage. So volt amp hour is the same thing as watt hour, and 10,560 is the same thing as 10.56 kilowatt hour, which is why a 148 volt battery at 220 amp hour is equivalent to 1 10 kilowatt hour lithium battery. So from our calculation, we need 4 10 kilowatt hour lithium battery, which is the same thing as 40 kilowatt hour lithium battery. Yeah. To power our design, if you look to the right, I put the calculation, a snippet from the calculation we did in video 2. So most of our appliances will be powered for 12 hours. Yeah. So this is to account for when there will be no sun from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning. Yeah. That's why we have that. And that is why the calculation is telling us to get 40 kilowatt hour battery to power everything all our fridges, our freezers, our ACs, our borehole, everything can power it from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning. Yeah, based on those times there. Yeah. Now, there is a problem here. I cannot afford a 40 kilowatt hour lithium battery. So, what was the strategy that I used? I decided to get half of it that I could afford, which was a 20 kilowatt hour lithium battery. Now, remember, you only need your battery from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning, right? So, what I did, since I'm getting only half the capacity that I calculated, it means that in the evening, I'm going to switch off half the load. So the strategy I did was any non-essential lighting was switched off. The 3 freezers that we had was, I used, if you look to the left, I put the type of automatic so programmable socket adapter that I got. I got 3 of them for the 3 fridge freezers, and I programmed them to switch off automatically at 9 p.m. and then switch it back on at 7 a.m. when the sun starts coming out and charging the battery. And the funny thing, the most exciting thing is, even during this time when we switch off the freezers, till morning it remains frozen. So it's not actually needed. Yeah, but that is, I'm just letting you guys know the strategy that I used to actually make my 20 kilowatt hour lithium battery last me till morning. And that is why in the performance report, because I decided now to be posting performance reports every week for you guys to see that there is no power outage. I have not experienced power outage. There was one time I experienced power outage, and that was because they overused the battery in the evenings. Yeah, we switched on our ACs for longer than we calculated for. So that one situation, we ran the battery down to 0 state of charge, 0 SOC, and that was and it lasted even till morning, just before the sun started coming out, and there was no grid power at all through the night. Yeah, so that was why the battery discharged at 100%. But then we learned our lesson, and then we started switching off non-essential lighting, and then the AC we were using only if needed. Yeah. So when you put strategies in place like that to manage your system, yeah, even at half the capacity of the battery that we bought, we are still able to power it. So my plan is, once I have enough money now, I'll get a second, another 20 kilowatt hour lithium battery and connect it in parallel to this one. And then we will not have any problem of power outage ever. So that is the plan and the strategy. I think this video is already getting too long, so I'm going to stop here. And as usual, thank you for watching, and do leave a thumbs up if you like it, or a thumbs down, whichever one. If you think it has been helpful to you, just leave a thumbs up. Drop a comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.